Joining me now on this episode of Locally Sourced CP. All right, Patrick, I'm gonna try to say your last name correctly. Is Mr.
All right.
Patrick Galbadon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Gabaldon.
yeah,
Perfect.
dude.
Yeah,
I,
man.
I like I said before, man. I'm horrible. I just want to make sure I get names correct.
Of
And
course.
you are, of course, a man who needs own introduction. You are, of course, well known through the Sun City from your art mostly, and also
Mhm.
your profile says you are an attorney by day and an artist by night. So
Yes, sir.
I had the pleasure of meeting you the other day over at Tom Lee Elementary. You got to speak with the kids, and man, that just getting to meet you was so great. And of course, always seeing your art is amazing. I mean, there's no other way to describe it, man. Your style has like it's there's I mean, you have to see. You can't really you can describe it with the how colorful it is and everything like that,
Hmm.
but people just need to see it. But sir, we're here to talk about everything with you,
Yeah.
your art, your day job, I guess you could say a little bit. But
Sure. Yeah,
sir,
yeah.
talk a little bit about, let's go and talk about your day job, what you do in day, talk a little bit about
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Yeah, the Tom Lee Elementary was really cool. I like going and speaking with schools and kids. I got a couple friends that are art teachers, so I usually
that.
will speak to art classes. But it's fun because I think they get two for one, right? Get a somebody talking about like the law and that kind of side of it, and then talking about the creative side is always fun. And that was cool. They really showed out, right? Like they had
Yeah.
you show up to record, which was cool. And then the kids always they had some great questions, man. It's fun. They're just pretty straight up. They ask you right up front. There's no joking around, right?
Yeah, the kids
So
like
it
that
was
have they have
cool.
like no filter. They're gonna
Yeah,
ask
they're
you
just
the
like
question,
boom.
man.
Yeah, it was fun. What did I one of the kids asked because we were talking about soccer? And he was like, all right, Messi or Ronaldo? And I was
I
like, oh, easy. And I was like, Messi. And then like half of the kids started booing me. I was like, hey, there you
Yeah,
go.
and I'm gonna be honest. Like with I even told one of the principal when we were there.
Yeah,
I was like, man, if no kid asked you that, I was gonna ask you that question out of the
there you
blue.
go.
I was gonna, hey, Messi or Ronaldo, especially
Yeah,
since
man.
you paint a lot of soccer, especially locomotive
Hmm.
stuff, things like that. So I mean, uh,
That was fun.
yeah, it was fun, man, and it was a real pleasure to meet you, and it's even more pleasure to have you on today.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It was cool. Yeah, so my day job, I'm an attorney. I work for the county of El Paso. Right now, I work at the public defender's office. When I was, you know, man, going to law school was not like a plan I had my whole life. A lot of my colleagues and student friends at the time, like they had planned for law school, since they were little. It was kind of their dream or in their family, whatever. And that wasn't the case for me. I was really encouraged and didn't see myself kind of headed down that path, but I did. Um, and I really enjoy my work with the county with El Paso. For a long time I was working for the DA's office,
Mhm.
prosecuting cases, trials, cases, serious, heavy stuff. I worked mostly in Van Horn and Sierra Blanca. Most people don't know, but that's part of our kind of jurisdiction here that the DA's office covers Van Horn and Sierra Blanca, and the smaller communities in those counties. And I did that for like 9 years. So it was really great inspiration for painting because I was always out there for trial out in Culberson County and Hudspeth County, spending a lot of time in the desert. Not that we don't have our own desert here, but it's a lot different when you go a few blocks and then it's just vast expanse of
Yeah.
ranches, and meeting lots of cool people out there, nice people, and then getting the opportunity to paint and see, kind of remote desert out there. Um, and so yeah, I mean, now I work for the public defender's office, and it's really something I love, I enjoy. It's stressful obviously because I'm helping clients and families when someone they love, or the client themselves has gotten into some trouble or gotten arrested, sometimes a lot of times through no fault of their own, and just being there in their corner trying to help them, trying to explain how things are going to go. And they don't stay with me forever,
Mhm.
their cases. But I'm kind of the first lawyer they get to speak to most of the time, me and another colleague. And so it's really stressful work, but it's rewarding work, and it allows for like the art and the painting and kind of the creative aspect to totally be free from other pressure. because
Yeah.
the pressure at work is totally different. So when it comes to painting, it's like, man, there's no pressure whatsoever,
Would
you
would you
know.
would you say like the painting's also like kind of like a stress reliever for you as well?
1000%. I mean, I didn't start painting till 2012. We moved back here from San Antonio, my wife and I. Um, and I've been a musician since I was young, real young, playing in a band like all through high school and college. And when I went to law school, I still played music. I took my drum set and
Mhm.
guitars and made music. But when I came back home, I didn't really have anywhere for my drum set. My cousin and my brother and the people I played with were all gone. They moved, one to Houston, San Francisco, kind of all over. So I had no one to jam with. And that's kind of how I started painting. It was on accident, but I
Mhm.
needed like a creative outlet. And it's been really great because yeah, it's a stress reliever in that sometimes when I'm the most busy at work or the most stress, I'm painting a lot more.
Mhm.
You would think it might be the reverse, like work kind of chills out and then I paint more. It's the opposite. Um, and yeah, man, the work never stops with a public defender. We're always helping everyone we can, and so I paint a lot because there's a lot of stress all the time. Yeah, but it helps, man. It helps
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's amazing that you're not, not only you're an attorney and you're also an artist, but not only you're multiple, like, I guess, like you just, I know it's weird, like you're multi-artist or because like not only do you paint, but you're also a musician and you can play instruments and things like that.
Yeah, man, I'm dying to sit on a drum set. I have a buddy that has one, and we used to go over there every now and then, and he would let me sit down on his kit and just kind of get it released. A couple of years ago,
Yeah.
during the peak of the pandemic, I donated my drum set to a family, and then they ended up passing it on and donating it to a group that like helps kids learn who are interested in learning about music. They needed an extra kit, so I was happy to give it.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I every now and then I do feel the itch of, oh man, I'd really like to sit down and play. um but it's one of those things, man. When you're a drummer, at least my perspective always been, music is best shared with others. So
Yeah.
it's like I'd love to get a drum set and start again, but truthfully, I would need someone else, man. Need someone else to play too. So
uh,
yeah,
I
so
could
the
play
art
some.
is good because it's just me, right? I can
Yeah,
paint all
I could play some mean air guitar. Just if you ever need
nice.
a jam.
There you go. Nice, nice. Yeah,
No.
and I tried guitar for a while, man, but I don't know. It never stuck. I always tell
Yeah.
people, well, I just didn't have the patience for it for myself, really. But when you play the drums, you can get by with three chords if you know a whole bunch of rhythm, right?
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I sometimes fool people as pick up a guitar and play a little bit. They're like, oh wow, you know how to play. It's like, nah, I just
Yeah.
pretend.
Don't give out your secret, man. Come on, keep
Yeah, that's it. That's the secret. That's the secret.
Cool.
Drummer picks up guitar. All they need is a couple chords or power chords, and they'll fool
Yeah.
you pretty good. Not a real musician; they won't fool them, but everybody else you can fool.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your painting, that art. I mean, when I guess I don't know if like how to phrase it. Like I don't want to seem like like rude or I don't know how to state it, but what painting or when did like you start getting noticed with your paintings?
Yeah, I mean, there's no rude questions, man. Just ask away. I'm happy to share. So I started painting. I mean, I picked up a paintbrush. Yeah, it was like end of 2012. I painted in high school. When I was a senior, I quit marching band and joined theater and took art one. And so that's when I first really picked up a paintbrush to have some fun. But yeah, I started painting after going to one of those paint and drink classes.
Mhm.
The teacher was like, yo, you should keep doing this. It's pretty good. And it was encouraged. So did a couple more paintings for some family. And then it was just kind of every now and then a friend would buy a piece, and that was enough to buy more paint and another set of canvas, right? Like it was just kind of to propel to try something new.
Yeah.
But it was probably in 2014 and 2015 were when things, or at least from my perspective and my wife's perspective, we're like, okay, we probably got to start taking this a little bit more seriously than we're taking it. Not in like a cold way, just in a like, hey, if we're gonna do this, let's do it with some intention.
Yeah.
Let's put our all into it and let's take it seriously. And so yeah, it was about 2015. I got asked to donate some work for the United Way, and I was already donating work to whoever would ask, really. I mean, it's like, I'm happy to paint. I love painting. So when people call, generally, if I have work available, and I believe in the cause, I'll give.
Mhm.
And the United Way was like, hey, we know you give here and there. Would you be willing to donate a piece for like an entire kind of a whole plan of use? Like, it was the art, they wanted to use it like for media outreach, advertisement,
Mhm.
for gifts for donors, gifts for volunteers. um and luckily at the time I had just finished a couple pieces. I was like, yeah, like, I'm down, like, you pick which piece you like, I think this would work best. And then I was lucky in that piece for me kind of signified a turn in the stylistic direction I was liking a lot more.
Mhm.
I try things all the time.
Yeah.
Stylistically, I mean, I think you can always tell it to me, in the work, but this one I felt was kind of like, okay, this was opening up a path that I was really happy with. And man, that was it. Like, that kind of took off because all of a sudden some people knew my artwork, like in the art community, and of course my friends at the courthouse, who were very supportive. But then it kind of just blew up beyond that.
Right.
Where like everybody on all these nonprofit boards were getting gifts of this print. I think I signed like 1,000,
Oh,
and so yeah, they were giving them to everybody, framed and nice up as gifts for, like, so city council got them, and then all the like city rep or state reps got them. Boards on EP Electric and water and all those, just volunteers all over, principals, teachers, everyone started getting them. And so that kind of really like kicked me into a different realm of awareness locally,
yeah.
which was really cool, man. Because at the end of the day, it's like I like painting, I like coloring and creating fun things, and it's just a blessing that other people like it too. It's
No,
kind of
man.
accident, but
Dude, it's so cool. Your style is so cool. I honestly, like, I've never noticed a style like yours before. And I'll be honest, the first time I saw your work, and it was kind of like I didn't know it was yours. I one of my coworkers, I don't know if you know Vanessa Motis Weiss, uh
Mhm, mhm.
Marina's sister.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
had she had a sticker of the one you did for Marina and her husband on her
Oh, nice.
car. And that was the first time I saw it. I thought that thing was so cool, man. It was like the
Yeah,
way
that's fun,
the way
man.
you drew them, and it was so cool. And that was the first time I had saw your art was on Vanessa's car on the sticker that
That's
you were giving
cool.
them. But
That's cool.
I mean, you've done so much stuff. I mean, you do a lot of well, you paint a lot of stuff of, like, the city and the desert and things like that, and it's so colorful. But you also you talk to, like you said, you talk to the kids a little bit about doing stuff like you like soccer a lot.
Mhm.
You've done a lot of stuff for like the locomotives. Oh my god, I can't believe I
Mhm.
almost forgot their name. Talk a little bit about some of the work you did for the locomotives, and also like the jersey I did for them.
Oh yeah, the jersey was like a dream come true. It was a really cool project. Like you said, yeah, I'm a soccer fan in general. Um, just I play as a kid, of course. Everyone here kind of, you play as a kid, right?
Yeah,
And I fell away from the game for a long time, and then in '06, that World Cup is what hooked me. And then the following Olympics, and then of course, FIFA and PES at the time. It's kind of how I got super hooked.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I love soccer. So when there was rumblings of El Paso maybe getting, a D2 team in the USL, I was super pumped. I mean, and I always tell people, a lot of the stuff on my page, like on my Instagram or my website, is doing illustration of stuff I love, and I watch a lot of soccer. So you see a lot of soccer stuff, and
yeah,
particularly with Locomotive, and so before there was a team name, team colors, I was lucky enough to meet with some people at the front office who were super excited about the growth of where the team was, maybe headed. And they knew because they had saw some drawings I did of like different MLS players online, and they were like, hey, we see you're an artist, you like soccer, let's have a conversation. And so we ended up having, way back then, man, that was before they had colors and everything. We had like 2-3 meetings just kind of talking about stuff and community involvement, and hopefully how the team could take advantage of the community and the culture here. Because
yeah.
man, like I said, soccer is part of the culture here. It's just deeply woven in so many
Yeah.
families. And so it was just kind of by accident, and they wanted really to support the arts, local artists here in town. And then yeah, it's the fifth season this year, and I made my own jersey because I like soccer, and
Dude,
and the team is a corporate entity, right? So they have partnerships and deals with different companies and all these things. So it wasn't until really year five till we could hook up and make something happen on this jersey giveaway night.
yeah, dude,
And it
that
was awesome.
that jersey is so cool, man. I I I am so sad that I didn't get out there to get one. But I
Good.
mean, dude, just it just looks cool. Like the one on Instagram that you have a picture of you and your
Yeah,
wife.
my wife. Yeah.
You guys that thing is so cool. I mean,
Thanks.
it's such a
It
cool
was so
jersey.
fun. And then the coolest thing, had like a moment, went down to the concourse and watched people wearing them, walking around, getting beers or hot dogs, saying hi to their friends, kind of that whole thing. And it was just really moving to see all these people in my artwork. And I've heard this before from other artists, and maybe it's cliche, I don't know, but there is totally something to seeing people appreciate your work, in this case wearing it, and
Mm,
having no clue who you are, who the artist is, whatever. They
yeah.
just like it, and that's cool, like seeing little kids put it on and get super excited, and pointing out the different things that are hidden in the jersey. And it was just a really really cool feeling, and
That's
I'm
cool.
glad it was, it was a great event. It was like, God, super hot. It was like 110 or something, and even me and my family were out there in line to get the jerseys because I only got a couple beforehand
Hmm.
for me, my wife, and my brother. And so, it's not like we got a whole bunch of them. And so we were out there in line too with everybody else, and people were like, "Yo, you designed the jersey? You're out here in line?" I was like, "Yeah, man, giveaway." That's
I
you
need to get a
know,
couple more, man. It's for me.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it was really cool. And the team said, we have some friends now that work with the team, right? Working with
Right.
them for many years. They were like, "Yeah, man, this giveaway was like the hottest item we've ever had." I mean, they were gone within minutes. And
I believe it.
so, yeah, if you got one out there, consider yourself lucky. And
Yeah.
who knows, maybe it's a secondary market for people to buy them, because yeah, that giveaway was it. They're not coming back. So
Nice. And okay, I like now I'll have to ask you some of the cliche questions, man.
yeah, of course, man.
What is your advice for up and coming artists or anyone who is interested in either like, becoming an artist, not regardless of, painting or music. I mean,
Yeah.
what would your advice be to them?
The first thing to acknowledge is, like, if you're creating music, dance, art, whatever, you're an artist. If you're doing it, you're an artist,
Mhm.
right? Um, there's nobody to tell you you're not, right? Like, if you're making it happen, that's it. That's the qualification. You're painting, you're drawing, that's it. You're an artist. Um, you know, there are some internal questions I had to ask myself, and I think they're important for artists, anybody really, to be self-aware and to kind of evaluate the things that are important to you and to put that forward in the work. But then, big picture, like, where you want to see it go.
Yeah.
You might love painting, but you might not want to set up at pop-up markets or sell, or be hustling, right? Like, that's a
Yeah.
whole nother world. But truthfully, if you want to go down that path, my biggest advice to people is to always remind yourself of the intention as to why you're doing it
Mhm.
every so often, and to create goals for yourself, and then to take it seriously, right? Like, yes, it's lame and boring to think about taxes and all that, and
Mhm.
business formation and all those things, but they're important.
Yeah.
And these days, and it's the same with your business, even just podcasting and interviewing people, and kind of that hustle. It's like, you're not just a good interviewer, right?
Right.
You have to be personable, you have to be a good public speaker, you have to be a technician, you have to understand hardware, software, marketing, social media, um, regular media, print media. Like, I mean, all these things. It's the same with an artist.
Yeah.
Like, if you want your work to be seen and you want to be, part of whatever it is, even if that's, you want to be a gallerist, a gallery artist, there's other aspects of that aren't painting. And so many of the time those things can take over, And it's important. That's why I think it's important to be self-aware and to remind yourself, okay, why am I doing this?
Right.
What joy is this bringing me? And is this on a path I still want to do, and still want to be? And that's tough, man. That's I talk to artists all the time, friends of mine, and we're all dealing with that struggle, no matter what level of perceived success, perceived from others, or your internal perception of what success is to you.
Mhm.
It's tough because, man, you can get wrapped up in that real quick. But it's important to ask yourself, you know, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing it? Is it is it important to me? Is it fulfilling to me? And is it, I mean, the simplest terms for me, at least, someone's like, is it fun? Is it bringing me joy? Is it
Yeah.
sharing joy with others? Am I making a positive impact? And it took me a while too to figure out what that intentionality was for us. Um, but a lot of it is like, okay, if I want to have the art or my creative endeavor support me, well, what does that mean? Really talking those things out. So
Right.
it's not just some ethereal, like, oh, one day I'll make it. It's like, well, what does that mean? Make it. What does that mean to you? Does that mean just creating a piece and being able to sell it to fund the getting and to paint another one? That's what it was for me for many years. Right. It was like that was making it, man, selling a piece so I could buy more canvas,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but as things changed, it was like, okay, well, how do I change? Do I want to change? Am I happy with that? Trying things, not liking them, like we did for a while, a lot of those like pop-up markets.
Yeah.
And it was so stressful physically, emotionally, um, that after a couple tries of doing that, it was like, oh man, I don't think this hustle's for us. Like we can't, it's just too much for us.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, those are the big ones, man. I can go on forever. Unfortunately, when I talk to people, right, I tell them I'm happy to talk because all day at work,
Right.
I talk. That's what a lawyer is, man. Like,
Yeah, no, no, no. I totally hear you, man. I mean, it's good. It's good stuff, man. I mean, it's just like the people who are, aspiring to try something, especially in the art world, they need to know. I mean, and I think always that any advice is great advice. Um,
yeah,
I
no, man.
and I'm with you too on the you kind of like, you just got to know, set your goals, know what you want. If especially the part if it makes you happy, I think you're doing it right. I
Yeah,
I totally
yeah.
agree with you. Like it's
You
like
know when?
especially.
Go ahead.
Especially like if you're doing a piece, or if you're like, so for example, like if you're painting something, or editing a video or something, and you like it and it's making you happy. I mean, I think you're totally right. You're doing it right as long as it's making you happy.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's it, man. And um, I always tell young artists too, like if you have other questions specific to what you've seen me do or grow in different directions, like reach out, man. I'm happy to help and share. When I first started painting, and figuring out what I liked or didn't like in art and color and intention,
Mhm.
there were tons of local artists that were super willing to just listen, and we would go to, like, Chalk the Block is coming up this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's right.
um, what is it, October 13th through 14th, and I think Sunday too. And I remember going to Chalk the Block and I was painting a little bit here and there. And every artist that was set up, we spent 30-40 minutes just asking them basic questions,
That's cool.
what kind of paint do you buy? And why do you buy that paint?
Mhm.
What do you think would be a good paint to start off? What kind of brushes do you think? How do you print things? We would go to farmers markets and ask. And still, even to this day, like every time I get the chance to speak with another artist, I always try and ask any questions. And thankfully, everybody I've met so far has been kind and open.
Right.
And so I try and do the same thing too when
Yeah.
people ask.
That
So
that's so
if
cool when
anyone's out there, yeah,
yeah that
we'll talk to you.
yeah that's so cool when our artists can collab like that. Because I mean, like it's just it's awesome just to collab and basically be nice to each other. I mean, I know there's people out there that don't like
Mhm.
sharing stuff because they want, oh, keep it close to the chest. But I mean, I think it's better when everyone shares stuff and just collaborates with each other and just helps each other out, especially the
Totally.
up and coming, or if you're just getting started. I mean, that's so cool that you do that with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things like I was talking with another artist from El Paso recently, and we
Mhm.
had a long conversation about this. And we were both very happy and kind of celebrating the fact that other artists were there for us when we had questions and needed help.
Mhm.
Um, and that this idea or perception of like scarcity and keeping things close to the chest,
Yeah.
um, it's not, at least in the community I've seen in my experience, it's not really there, you know. There is not a limited amount of
Mhm.
artists that can create and be successful and celebrated in El Paso. There is no limit.
Right.
So it's like sometimes, and I suffer from that too, right? I mean, we all have the ego sometimes that knocks on your door and makes you question things in your head or what you're doing or not doing. But truthfully, the reality is, it's like there's room for everybody. You know, there's, if, and I like, I think I told the kids this too, because someone asked, like, well, what if, has anyone ever told you they don't like your art? I'm like, yes, many times. I've been told many times.
Mhm.
But the truth is, like, there's plenty of artists out there that are doing beautiful things. You know, find someone you like and support them. If that's not me,
Yeah.
cool. You know, I'm not for everyone. Everyone's not for me. Um, but the artist community can still group together and support where we can, even if that's sharing a post, going out to an event. Because El Paso is unlike a lot of other communities with art scene. I mean, we have so many amazing artists that create in such unique, specific ways that is just incredible. I mean, every artist is so different from the next, but we don't have that. It's changing now and it's growing, so that's good. But there is that absence of like local support of even just a big gallery scene or places for people to show their work. Now artists are taking control and they're getting spaces of their own to show their work, which is great. And that's a good thing. And it shows that, you know, El Paso's a little different too, right? If you want to paint and you want to make it and you want to put your art out there, you're just gonna have to get up and do it. You know, no
Right.
one's gonna see your work and say, at least maybe it happens some, maybe in New York, maybe you get super lucky, someone sees it and boom, it blows up.
Right.
But the reality is like you'll see the results when you put in the work, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, I totally understand. You got to work hard. You
Yeah.
gotta work hard. You can't just like, sit back and do nothing. I think of anything you do, you gotta work hard and study and
Hmm.
practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Practice. Find out
yeah.
what you like, find
Hmm.
out what you don't,
Yep.
meet people that you get on with,
Hmm.
meet people that you don't. So you
Right.
know that, oh man, I don't really want to hang with these people. They're not my people. That's
Hmm.
fine. Guess what? El Paso, everywhere, we're filled with all sorts of different people, all sorts of
That's
different
true.
artists. There's all sorts of collectives here in town that like make work together. And it's not the NFL, man. Like no one's in
Hmm.
competition. You
Right.
know, we all just want to make it. And guess what? We can, you know?
Right. And then one of my last questions I have to ask is, do you have a favorite piece that you've done that that's kind of like your all time, like if you could pick one, maybe one or two, maybe just real
Oh
quick.
man, okay. A favorite piece I've done. I know the kids ask this too, and I
Yeah.
struggled answering. So I do have like in my mind a canned answer
Yeah.
that I will
No,
say.
and you could go ahead and say
Um,
it too, because it's probably one of my
okay,
favorite too.
okay. So my canned answer, which is true,
Mhm.
you know, partially true, really, is like I did this piece of the window at Big Bend, and it's like super crazy colors. It
Mhm.
was another one that signified a change, like a growth directionally in terms of the work. So I really like it because of that. And I remember painting it and being really unsure of how it was going to turn out. I
Right.
kind of had it in my vision. I drew it out a bunch of times, did a couple uh, versions in colored pencil in my notebook just to see if it would be okay. But then putting it on the canvas was a whole different thing. It's like, oh,
Right.
I don't know if this is really going to work out.
Mhm.
And that's probably one of my favorite. But I always love like the most recent piece I did, you know, and I think about that one the most until I start something else.
Mhm.
Mostly because it's like, okay, well, what did I like? What did I not like? What would I change? And I know I could easily go back and change it, but
Right.
that's kind of not. Once I'm done, it's like it's done. I don't like this section, but I'm not going to change it. That's how it is. Um, but I really love too a lot of my illustrations that are just like fun and silly.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite ones are I have a lot of illustrations of my wife, just
Mhm.
of making like silly faces
Yep.
and different from vacations we've gone to
Mhm.
and different photos that are favorites of mine, converting them into illustration. And I don't always do portraits like painted.
Mhm.
I just painted one, I think my first self portrait, and I really like it.
Oh, nice.
Um, Mostly because I don't do that and I was,
Yeah.
again, I was kind of worried what there are no stakes, but I was worried about a little bit how it would turn out and if I would be happy with it.
Yeah.
And I really am. Now I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's just kind of leaning in the back room with a bunch of other art stacked up, collecting dust till I find somewhere to put them.
I got some blank space
Yeah,
back
there you go.
here.
Got some
Yeah.
space. Um,
So that's
so
cool.
it's funny, like so many different illustrations I love for or paintings for different reasons. Like I did this illustration set
Yeah.
for fun for me. This band I love, they're called Dawes, and they had a new album come out semi recently. And like they had a little devil character that was kind of like in all their merch and kind of in the album and
Yeah.
stuff. And I created my own little set of them because the album was what Doom Scroller tries to relax, and Doom Scroller is us, right? Scrolling on our phones, just
Right.
stuck in a loop of doom sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And so I drew a little set of these little doomies, what I call them, doing things to relax. So I have one like
Uh,
petting some cats, one getting a massage,
oh,
one getting a
nice.
pedicure, and I really love it. But I don't think anybody else loves it as much as I do.
No, that's all that as long as you love it, man, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's the truer words, man. I
Yeah.
spoke to an artist recently. He's been painting forever. He's in, I think, in his late 70s, from El Paso. Very highly celebrated and amazing artist. And his one piece of advice to me, because I wouldn't let the opportunity pass without asking, he was like, the one piece of advice is do whatever the F you want to do.
Nice.
That's
That's
it. Do
good
whatever you want
advice,
to do.
man. Good advice.
Yeah. He's like, people tell you, nah, you only paint landscapes. Tell them F you. No, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. So this week I'm painting dogs,
Nice.
skies, food, whatever, do whatever you like.
Let me ask you, people can see your stuff. I know you have an Instagram and also a website. They can check you out. Check out some of your work and stuff and maybe get some prints and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, gabaldonart.com. Gabaldon art, Gabaldon art.
Powerful.
That's I'm there at all the things, right? Like Gmail is Gabaldon art, my
Nice.
email, Instagram, Twitter, or formerly
Nice.
known as Twitter.
Or I know, I think it's X now or something like
Yeah. It's like,
that.
but I'm more active on Instagram because it's obviously a photo sharing space.
Right.
So I'm always posting whatever I'm working on, whether that's locomotive, pet portraits, new paintings, a lot of work in
Right.
progress
Yeah.
stuff. And yeah, I sell all sorts of stuff: socks, prints, paintings. I mean, so you
Yeah.
know,
I'm gonna have to double check because I'm gonna have to, for real, they're really thinking about trying to figure out what I can put behind me because I've been blank for a while because I switched up my office a little bit. So
yeah,
I'll,
let me know. I'll donate to the cause, man. I'll
oh,
donate
hey,
to the
yeah,
cause.
I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
even for the free
appreciate it.
stuff, man. I'll pay for it if I need to, man. I'm all good for this stuff. But I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on, Patrick, man. I really do. I'll make sure I put all your info in the description below. Let
Thank
me
you.
say, is anything else you'd like to say, Rad, before we end today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so grateful that people support my work, and like that was not it was not something I ever thought would happen.
Hmm.
I thought I would paint maybe for a couple, like just as these Christmas gifts for some family, and that would be the end of ever painting. And I'm just so grateful that others saw something in those early works to encourage me to keep doing it. And it's not lost on me how just what an amazing opportunity is that people like it, man. Like it's wild. And it's never lost on me when someone shares a picture of a sticker on a water bottle that I did, or a
Yeah.
painting, or like we just got back from a trip and at the airport they have a bunch of trash cans with my art all over them. And that's just so cool, man. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. I'm grateful. And I
Super
just
talented, man, and everyone loves it, man. Like I'm not kidding, man. It's awesome, man. And I
thank
I,
you.
I can't thank you enough for being on today and joining me. And I gotta have you on again a little later, man. Especially like we got some more stuff or get going and dude,
Anytime.
I'm not kidding, man. I'll get with you and maybe get something hang behind me, man. That'd be kind of cool, even if it's just a print.
Yeah, for sure. I got tons of stuff, man, big and
All right,
small. So, yeah,
Patrick, thank you so much for joining me.
of course, Ray.
It's an honor having you on, and look forward to talk to you again.
Yeah, for sure. It was good to
Thanks,
talk
man.
to you.
All right.
Adios.